Welcome back to another episode of She Blooms. I'm your host, Chantel, and today, as usual, I'm joined by some very good friends of mine, and we're going to delve into a topic doing the most in terms of relationships. We'll be sharing, what we've been through and some tips for all of the listeners. So, ladies, I will let you all introduce yourselves. Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, so I'm Charisse King. I'm from a very small town called Pietermaritzburg. It's in KwaZulu-Natal. And I'm 36 years old, turning 37 in July. Yay, snaps for me. Yeah, psychology major, educated in UKZN, ex-management consultant, and I opened up my coaching practice, transformational life coaching. And it's been running for a solid 3 years. So I'm also an initiated shaman as well. So I'm big into healing. I'm big into my purpose on this earth and this planet. So I'm very grateful, Chantal, that we can have this forum. It's very close to me. I've dedicated one of my books to narcissism, so that I can reach my audience. I'm from a small town, and we all know, I think, She Blooms. The reason why it's out there, it's for awareness, and people, and especially women. It's so embarrassing to talk about certain things.
Oh no, girl. Like, I just want to say this is why we're going to be going to Patreon next, and then people need to pay to see the content, to see what we're doing behind the scenes for our Patreon members.
Yes,
Anyway, my name is Natasha Chidenga. I am a child of Southern Africa, as I like to call it. Essay. I'm all about good energy, high energy person, full of love. I'm a mother to a lovely, beautiful baby girl called Guguletu King. So it's yeah. It's quite a connection. Yeah, and honestly, I did not know that I could love as much as I could. I did not know that the depths of my love could be so deep until I had a child. And she teaches me to love deeper. She sees me as a superhero, and the way in which my child sees me forces me to see the greatness within myself. So I am on this journey, and it has been a tumultuous journey of self-love. I am nowhere close to my destination, but I am on the path. There have been many a detours. There have been many a rocks in the path, but yeah, and my sisters have been there with me. Shout out to Jamila for going through all the text messages and the crying and the tears with me, and just being like, girl, you've got this, you've got this. And shout out to Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry's for supplying the ice cream to make it possible for me to do that. But honestly, I'm really excited about this topic. I am also excited to be on this platform to support my sister Chantal, doing big things. And when I think about blooming, when I think about She Blooms, I think about something coming into its season. And I think when something blooms, we also think about it coming to its peak, but then it's also coming to its decline. But what we often forget is that it will bloom once again. And there is beauty and the seasonality in life. So when I think about all the relationships that I used to look at failures, I now realize they were mere endings. And with an ending comes a new beginning, just like the seasons, hence She Blooms. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, and excited to be part of this.
Hey, thank you, Tasha.
My pleasure.
Jam.
Okay, so hi, I'm Jamila. I'm 31. What else? I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. I live in Toronto now. I recently found the love of my life. I'm going to be moving. So, I'm here with that perspective. I've gone through it all, I've been through a lot, but I finally, yes, I found my person. Yeah, so I'm very happy. But yeah, I'm here to give my perspective on this subject because, I feel like I have like a lot of advice to give, and I'm here to, warn all the listeners and give you guys perspective on what you should be looking out for, like what signs that you should be looking out for and how you should just sort of handle it. I'm here with that no nonsense perspective, and that but sometimes you need to anyway. So I'm here for that. I'm also here. I love good energy. I'm all about self-love. I'm all about growing. I'm all about being your best self. I'm studying commerce and marketing right now, so hopefully I'll be done soon. And yeah, I've been through it all, guys, so I'm just here with that perspective. And Baloo, love you. I'm excited to be on here. This is my first podcast. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very into also manifesting. I do that a lot. So, I'm very into whatever you say and you speak and you believe, it really can come into fruition. So you have to be careful of what you say about yourself or you speak on yourself. And yeah, I'm here.
I think Christians call it the power of the tongue.
Yes, the power of the tongue, exactly.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining me today. So just to get into the topic, let me just give a bit of background. Natasha dropped a little Huffington Post article in our group chat on a new dating trend that's called mosting. So if you thought ghosting was bad, think of this as like ghosting on crack. So Tasha, do you want to explain this to the listeners?
Oh, child, where do I begin? Yes, listeners, I need to tell y'all something. I'll say it like a story from that happened to a friend, but you all know it was me. So, so what happened with this ghosting situation, people? I've heard about ghosting. People would be telling me all sorts of stories about ghosting and Casper and all of them goblins. And I was like, listen, I get it. I'm sorry. It's okay. But then the situation that happened to me, y'all. It was hot, it was heavy, it was what I can only describe as a whirlwind romance, where a person comes in and they're 110%. Everything that you thought you wanted to hear, they tell you, and they tell you really early. So it then puts you in this space where you open up to them and you're thinking you're creating a bond, and it gets really deep and intimate in terms of emotional intimacy. And you start swapping, I care about you, I love yous, or I miss yous really early on. But I'm talking super, super early on, having pet names for each other. And you create a bond. And just as that bond is created, they disappear like they were never, ever there. So it was like they were doing the most, what you could imagine. If you had a friend and your friend was telling you this was going on, you would probably tell her, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's the most. That person's doing the most, is what you'd probably say to your friend. And that's what would be happening. But you're not even sharing it with your friends because you're in bliss, honey. You're just like, this is fabulous. This is how I need to be loved. These are the words of affirmation I needed. But the words of affirmation you needed, baby girl, was supposed to come from you, not from some other person. So it would just break my heart that all of a sudden, literally, they would disappear. Like the next day, like they never existed. They don't text, they don't call, they don't check up. So it's like, so all the missing me, do you just, like all the loving me, did you stop loving me from that very second? You're left with so many unanswered questions. You're left with, like, how everybody always needs closure in a relationship. The problem is this then leaves you even wanting and needing more, because you start asking questions about yourself. You start looking into, it's like questions about self-worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is mosting. And if you can stay clear, honey. But that's what happened. That's mosting, guys.
Yes, I'm going to actually, I'll put the article probably in the description box for you guys to read. But basically, the way that it was explained was kind of like love bombing, and then the person ghosts you, or disappears, or whatever they call it. But the relationship starts out with love bombing and then goes downhill very quickly, right? So when I read the article, first of all, I didn't know that this was like, I knew it happened, but I didn't know that it was like a thing on the level of it having a name, or that it happened like enough for it to even be written about. Do you know what I mean? I think most likely because women don't know how to describe it, or you can't really tell somebody about your experience because, first of all, you're embarrassed as hell. You don't understand it yourself. So I think there's very limited like precautionary tales about this that are out there, which is why I kind of felt like, oh, this would be like a good conversation to share with my SheBlooms listeners, just because I think that these are stories that people need to, you're not alone. Okay, this happened to you. Trust
No, no,
me, you're
no.
not alone. This is going on. People are writing about this. This is a global issue. It's not like it's just, this is just, oh, these are the African brothers that are doing this. No,
Oh no, no,
all of
no.
them.
Like,
All
are they sharing this on some sort of Reddit forum? This
I
is this is what I want to know. Is it like a tips and tricks type of thing to get women to be with you, or is this something that's in there, like, you know, like like Charisse was saying before, like, is it like a thing that they grew up with, and like, it's like some sort of narcissistic tendency where they self-sabotage if like something is, you know going right, and then all of a sudden they get afraid of that intimacy and they're just like, okay, they're gone? Or is it some sort of thing where it's like you read it on Reddit or like a forum and you're like, oh,
have like
this
men
is great. Yeah, like, is it like, because a lot of men share tips and tricks on how to pick up women, so is this a thing where they've shared it online, or is it just how some men are?
That's a good
That's what I
question.
want to know.
I,
Yeah, because yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, because even if it's, and I think it's something innate, it's something to do with the individual's behavior. I don't think this is something you can teach, because
Mm,
the level of emotional collateral that they have to put up is a lot. Like telling a person,
mm.
I miss you, I'm just thinking about you, like doing the most, that requires energy. So I
Yeah,
don't think that's something you could just
but
someone.
niggas have time and energy,
Ooh,
especially if they're trying to
honey.
get with you.
Jamila is like, you don't know the energy these niggas be having.
Yeah, because the payoff is obviously being intimate with you, right? And
Absolutely.
getting the bet, because when they're at that level with you, when they're mosting you, that's when you're giving them all of you. So imagine like you're going to be having the most amazing sex with this person. So that's their payoff, really.
That's what I'm now thinking. Maybe that's what it is, because you know how when you have random and like unemotional sex, I
Yeah.
think it's different.
You don't give it
But
a
when you have sex with a sense of intimacy, right? Because this person as yeah, I think it's different. I think it's different if you think about when you are
Yeah.
vulnerable with a person, even the way you give yourself to that person. And
Yeah.
if these men are deliberately going through this whole process in their minds and then deciding deliberately to do this, then yeah, this is sociopathic
Yeah.
behavior to me.
Exactly. That's why I'm
Absolutely.
like, are they giving these tips and tricks online? Like, what's happening?
I
No, I
And
know.
tell.
think honestly, if I can just jump in, I think
Yeah.
these people, after my experience, I had a very traumatic experience, and it happened to me at a very crucial space in my life. I started my business, and I was 31 at the time, and I just met this wonderful guy. Like, as Natasha's saying, like, it was just absolutely unbelievable how kind and sweet and generous this person was. And with starting a business, what that does to you, it pushes you into a self-development role, right, in your life. Okay. And I strongly believe that the girls out there and the men out there, because there are definitely women who are narcissistic, right? And this is not only for men, it's for women as well. So what these people actually do, they study you. They study you. They need an energy source from you. Okay. I've researched this to the death, guys. Like, for me, it was just so important to find out, how can someone be so cruel? I just want to understand.
Yeah.
I just want to understand what you get from it, number one.
Mhm.
Number two, what is your driving force? Number
Mm.
three, how do I keep myself safe?
Mm.
Because I'm also someone that loves good energy and loves good people. However, I had a major problem within myself, which was being overly compassionate to people that are cruel towards me.
Oh,
right?
And that's a trauma response, eh?
That is definitely a trauma response, right? So I'm also Cancerian and I'm empathic, majorly empathic, super empathic actually. And narcissists and these people love women that are loving and kind and open and sexual and independent and clever, and you just got everything going for you. They want you. And Natasha, it is deliberate. I don't think there's an article that these people are reading. It is deliberate. They cannot sleep at night because they are literally thinking of the next chess move.
But how do they then sleep after they've done it? Like, how are you at peace knowing that you've done this, man? That's what I can't understand. How are you sleeping at night, bro?
They lack empathy, bro. They lack freaking empathy. They do not have the capacity to love and show love. And they are these great pretenders. And this is something that is as wild as Chantal said. It's wild, like to just think to yourself, why would you, there's so many women out there, why would you want to persuade me to sleep with me? You can go buy sex. You can jerk off. You can go find someone. You can go find someone who is ready and willing, like Jamelia was saying, girls that are ready and willing to have a fuck buddy, you know?
And even in apps, there are even apps for this, where people literally Tinder, whatever, where people just want to hook up. They just want to hook up. So why me? Why? Why? No, please explain this.
So this is what I want to know is how long, what's the timeline? How long does this go on for, like when they're mosting you? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 4 months? Like, how long do they typically do this for?
I think that's the other thing. For me, well, the mosting behavior starts early. So the telling you the things they want. And funny enough, now that Sharice is saying it, and I'm introspective, they do give you clues that they are watching you or that they are studying you. Because they do say, oh, I know how you are. I can see how you are. And they'll say words like that, but they'll say it and they'll put a positive spin on it. So I see how you are. So that's why I'm always trying to be there for you. Or I see how you are. That's why these people do this to you. Or, you need this type of care and affection. And that's what I'm giving you because I know that that's how you are. But then if you take a step back and then you start thinking, how long have you known me, bruh, that you know how I am?
Yeah.
For real. Yes. Even me, I've known myself all my life, but I'm hardly knowing how I am. How are you studying me to know me like this? So those are some of the clues, but they start mosting early. I can tell you that for sure. Those words come early. And then when the intimacy happens, they do delay the intimacy though. I found that the mosting is what happens a lot. And then by the time the intimacy happens, there is no resistance to the intimacy because it seems like a natural act. It seems like it should be. And then by the time you're intimate for the first time, it actually feels like you've had a relationship for a long time. So you're even more comfortable now. So yeah, I don't know.
You. At that point, he's like, I got you now. Like literally checkmate. And, it's so hard when you meet someone to not talk about your traumas or something that hurt you. It's very hard, right? So when even you girls, like, I know one day we'll all meet and we'll have a glass of wine or coffee or tea. And I promise you, we're going to start sharing because there's a likeness, there's a like-mindedness between all four of us, right? So it's extremely hard to, number one, detect who these people are, what they're doing. Because as you're saying, this happens like, I would say in the first 3 months, but I don't think we can put a timeline on it, but it happens really soon, and it's very sad. And in my case, I studied psychology, like this is my bread and butter, like for real, guys. So when this happened to me, I was shocked. I was like, the fuck nigga did this, you know? Like, I can't believe this guy did this, you know? It was so subtle. And then I started researching the differences of narcissistic people. And you get overt narcissists like Lance Armstrong. Everyone knows Lance Armstrong, right? He's overtly narcissistic, right? So even in his interview with Oprah, he still said, I did nothing wrong. He believes his own lies and life, and whatever he did to win and deceive people, he still sits in that, and he's overt about it, right? And then you get covert narcissists. These are the sneaky ones. These are the ones that come under your skin, like literally what you went through, Natasha. They come to you, they are kind and sweet, and they're like, I want to be there for you. And if you had said, oh, I've just opened up my business, like in my case, my partner back then, he would make sure that, you know, he's giving me extra money because he knows I'm, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, I'm doing this project and I'm going here and I'm flying here. And, you know, he was so supportive. And then the love bombing stops and the ghosting starts. And that person devalues you, discards you. So discarding, I think that is the most effective way to tell if a person lacks empathy.
Yeah.
And when someone lacks empathy, you can kind of connect the dots for yourself, and you can ask yourself, why am I with a cruel person? What is it about me that I need to change? Or there's something within me that is attracting this person and I want them in my life. So it forces you into a space of introspection where maybe your mom had abandoned you, but this person has already seen that in you. So now they know you've been abandoned before. That has been your trauma bond. So they know that's how I'm going to hurt you, because they know that you haven't healed from it. So I think at the end of this conversation, like self-love, and Natasha spoke about it, that is the main healing, eye-opening, you know, liberating thing you can ever do to stand up against these people throughout the world. There is no formula, guys. There's no formula. I think the best thing we can do is just love ourselves.
Now, this is what I want to know, guys. So while this is going on, are they discussing like the future plans?
Hey.
Like, wait, this is okay. Hold on.
Me, I'm going to close this laptop. This is so triggering, man. But in a good way, way.
Okay.
Go on, ask your question.
I think it's a part of the healing process. I think it's good to talk about it, let it out, child.
Because in like a regular relationship, like when I'm in a relationship, I'm looking to see if this person is talking about the future, like making future plans, you know, discussing like, you know, making you feel like family, you know, talking about you meeting their mom, you know, meeting their friends, you know, show you to their close friends and, you know, family. So like, are they doing that? Are they talking about you meeting their family? Are you meeting their family within like, I don't know, let's say like 3 months? Are you making plans for like the future? Like, are you guys talking about where you're going to live? Are you discussing kids? You know, things like signs that you look out normally for in a relationship. So that's what I want to know, because then that way people can know like, okay, this person is doing that most also in that sense where it's like, hey, I want you in my life in the future. I want you here now. Like, what are the things you guys are discussing? Because that's what I want to know. And is there like, are they doing all of this in like 1 month? Are they doing this in like 2 months? Like, what are they saying? This is what I want to know.
So I think they said early. Sorry, go ahead, Chantal.
I mean, for what I would consider my experience with mosting, I feel like they're usually what can I call it? Like maybe the aggressor in terms of even bringing up the future. I'm not really the person who is about that, right? I'm definitely not like, I'm starting dating you week 1 and I'm like, oh my God, my wedding dress. Oh my God, I don't like, I'm more level-headed. But then I find that they're the ones who will then make you like, will jump to that next level and be like, no, but I see you as my wife. You're my wife. Maybe even start calling you their wife, child. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
You're my wife. And then you, obviously, if you hear that long enough, that's what you're going to start thinking, right? You're going to start being like, this is where he is, and maybe I should meet him where he's at. And then, yeah, I guess this is, just the trajectory of our relationship. So then they force you to get to somewhere that you were never at to begin with, which is what I think is the whole point. Because why the hell you dragging me here, boy? I wasn't even there. Like,
Facts, facts. And it's, you are so on the ball with it, because those are not conversations I had. I'm the same way. I'm very level-headed. And I think this, again, the fact that it's the similar character trait we all have, is that's what's showing me that they know. Sorry.
So then these are the yellow flags, is them being the initiator and them being the aggressor and making all these plans. So this is what people should be wary of, you're saying. So
I think so. But
watch out for them constantly being the aggressor.
Yeah, I feel like Charisse should maybe has some kind of info on it, because I don't know how I can warn somebody. Like if I think about like my younger cousins and stuff like that, that I'm very invested in their love lives. I don't know how I can be like, if somebody's offering you the world and it's a whirlwind, don't believe it. Like I don't know how to tell somebody
See,
that it's
that's
not
what I was
true.
going to say, because in a regular, like for when you meet your person, they're doing these things, but not in like an aggressive way. They're initiating like, hey, I really want you to meet my mom, not like immediately, but it's like it will happen, right? Like they're not very aggressive about it, but it's like they're the ones who are like, listen, this is how I feel about you, and I don't mind if you're not where I'm at, but this is how I feel. And they're intentional, because that's what girls want to hear, right? So it's like, how do you differentiate between this person being the one and this person who's love bombing you? It's like, that's what I want to know, because I'm like how?
Yeah, Sheree,
because
please clarify that part, because I now also don't know, and I'm scared. Because then if anybody even makes the mistake in 3 months of even saying to me, yay, meet my mother, yay, I'm out.
You're like, I'm out.
But what if you've lost the love of your life?
Exactly. Or is it if he says marriage? If he just talks about, hey, where you because sometimes that's how they drop the clues, né? When it's early, they'll say something like, so I always feel like I want to get married, injani, yada yada. And then when are you just in your mind saying, oh, I found my prince? But so when must I be like, no, this is a red flag, this is amber? Is there anything like that? Because how do you know who's genuine and who's not?
Right.
I think that is the most scariest part, guys. These people are so dangerous. It makes you become a recluse. So Natasha, I understand where you're at in your journey, and I want to send you so much love and peace. And I want to tell you that grace is going to make your way through this. God is going to give you grace, okay?
Thank you.
And this message is for absolutely everyone, Good people always win. Always. You do not have to worry. Amen. You do not have to worry about someone, coming to attack you, or a predator, because yes, they might hurt you, but they're going to hurt you in places where God's going to elevate you.
Woo!
Why I'm saying that, right?
Yes.
Let's say I had abandonment issues. I think I actually did, in my own introspection, right? So by being with this guy, he helped me introspect in such a way that I bossed up in that area, right? Because I knew that my trauma bond with my ex was about abandonment. And every time he abandoned me, I was like, I need him. So I had codependency issues, probably from my mom, right? And I have a fantastic relationship with my mom. But, you know, my mom was very busy and she had me at 40 years old at the time and, you know, 4 kids as well. So I was pretty much alone a lot of the time when I grew up, and my siblings were much older than me. So he knew where to hit me. He knew how to get me. He knew how to reel me in. You understand?
Mm.
And when I went through my journey, I researched the shit out of this topic. Okay? I researched every angle because, like you guys, you think to yourself, how do I know if this person is genuine? How do I know if this is not just a normal love story and I'm going to miss the love of my life? And all these things that he's doing are amazing things. And I want to welcome those things into my life, because we shouldn't be those people, as Chantal laid out in the introduction. We shouldn't be those women or those people that become bitter or jaded because of another person's ill intent. Okay. So how do we keep ourselves pure? How do we keep ourselves on the straight and narrow? Number one is grace. Okay. Never defend yourself with these people. That's a mistake I made, but I learned through my mistake. Never defend yourself. Sit back in your power and say, okay, just answer them as unemotional as you can. So the emotional aspect is what drives these people, because they need that energy from you. They need the reaction from you. They need you to look at them and be like, oh, you're amazing. Oh my God, I've never had this before. And then when they devalue you and they discard you, they need you to be like, how could you do this to me? You know, I thought you were this person and I need this in my life. They need that drama because it's also giving them the energy, and it makes them kind of feel like I am grand. And they do have a grandiose, you know, persona about them.
So, quick question for you. I found that when I was having that emotional time, like, I can't believe this, and how could you do this, and whatever, I was shocked at the lack of compassion and how it hardened him. I would think, personally, I would think if someone is showing me tears or if someone is breaking down, what is the thing you do? Even in the streets, if you guys are to see a gentleman just crying, what do? You instantly go there and say, are you okay? Are
You
you all
embrace
right?
them.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. But for me, it's like, it fed the beast. And it was just like, well, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you? And I was like, whoa. So is this normal? So that's what they do? Because how come there's no compassion when they're seeing the emotion?
Tasha, I think me and you are a bit different in terms of that, because I just won't ask you. I won't.
Yeah.
I won't ask you why. I won't ask you how. I won't ask you for any kind of explanation or anything of the sort. I will leave that up to you. And I feel like when you do leave it up to them, I feel like it eats them. That like you're not like super duper pressed. And it's not that I'm not pressed. I'm just not gonna like initiate a conversation with you about jack shit. Like if you have something to say to explain your behavior, you need to come and explain it to me. I'm not going to try and initiate and try to understand your behavior, try to like, give you the excuses, which I think a lot of women do. And Tasha,
Yes.
I think you do that. I think you're like, oh, I feel like he maybe feels this way, so maybe that's why he has done this. Maybe he's in a bad space, and so
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
give two shits about your bad space. You engaged me. You came to talk to me. If you have something to say, if you have something to apologize for, if you don't want to apologize, that's on you. I'm not gonna drag that shit out of nobody. I really don't have the time. I really do.
I think what you brought up, Chantal, is the highest form of self-love for yourself, you
Ooh,
know?
child, thank you, God.
And honestly, I think that is the biggest weapon we have, is if you know yourself, like you've just described, you know yourself. You
And your
know that
self-worth, yeah.
you're not going to take some BS from someone that you can clearly see is actually seeking attention, or someone that you can clearly see is out to hurt you, right? So Natasha, I'm exactly like you, where I'm overly compassionate and I'm also emotional, and I can cry right now, and if you guys are crying, I'll probably share a tear or two with you as well, and it takes me a very long time to get to a space where Chantal is at, right? But after my experience, I realized that when you know who you are, it's incredibly difficult for them to penetrate you. So I had the relationship for about 4 years. The first 2 years was okay-ish, but there was still, deceit and devalue and a lot of hurt and emotional pain. The last 2 years was when he saw that I was onto him. He would actually play like mind games on me, and I would call him out and I'd be like, don't do that. That's sick that you're doing. Because I elevated myself to a point where I could now see that if this person is devaluing me and they're discarding me, we're not aligned. And I told him, I was like, you and I are not aligned, okay? You want something different in your life. I want something different in my life. So please leave me alone, right? When you do that, they get really pissed off because, let's be honest, guys, we are abundant women. We are abundant, and we hold such amazing, like a river of love. It's never ending, So he got so mad and pissed off that he started devaluing my reputation. Now I'm a life coach, okay? I am in the public eye. I might not be Tony Robbins, but that's where I'm headed one day, right? So my name means a lot to me, right? So he started devaluing me and openly showing me that he's discarding me. And what I had done to him, I just basically said, okay, if that's how you feel, that is okay. It's actually okay.
Yeah,
so
because you're not for me.
You're not for me. We're not aligned. We're not aligned. The last 4 months, he's come back. He's always come back, always. Okay. But more so, his friends have come to me to say, damn girl, you were so right about this cat. I'm so sorry you had to go through this alone.
Can I ask what was the changing point for the friends? Because I would be intrigued to know how the friends figured out that, he was, I guess, a narcissist.
I think, I made a lot of mistakes in my experience, right? So my mistakes were because I was still healing and gaining my self-love, just like you, Natasha. I went into defense mode. I was like, no, I'm not like this. I'm like this, and this is who I am, and blah, blah, blah. Big mistake, okay? So the minute I did that, the people that he devalued me in front of, they were like, yeah, she is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you overly emotional, you teary, you're like, this is not okay, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. So in my experience, I made those mistakes, right? So he basically spun himself into a web. He had triangulation of mammoth proportions, like me finding out the amount of girls that were involved during my time, and then figuring out there was another girl, and it was just absolutely crazy. But I got to a point where I had a lot of self-love. I healed myself. I knew that we were not aligned. So for me, I was like, you're a weak person. You're a weak man. And not to be condescending or sounding arrogant, we also need to know who we are, what level we are at in our ascension, right? We need to know, am I aligned? Is this person equally yoked? We know this, right? We know this. Is this person holding the same values as me? And I basically just threw it out there at him and I said, we do not hold the same values, okay? And that is okay. And it's okay that you're a hurt person. It's also okay. And you need to seek help. And I ended the relationship. And he'd always come back and spin this story and that story and blah, 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 blah. He chased me as well. Like I was traveling a lot in 2019. He even showed up at a hotel because I wouldn't take his calls. Like for me, I was a bit scared at that point because I'm like, you beginning to be dangerous now, very dangerous person, right? And my privacy means a lot to me, especially if I'm in a different city or like, how did you know I was even staying at the Radisson waterfront? You know what I mean? So anyway, how he basically caught himself out because the good will always win. And these guys, because this is their natural day-to-day activities, okay, they forget who they are messing with. So the girls that he was messing with, two of them were actually very much aligned to who I was as well. So I'm very outspoken. I'm very, not calculating, I would say strategic, in the sense where when I meet someone and they're doing like a lot of these really extra things, I'm just like, no, I actually need to watch how I move with you, you know? So these girls were brave enough to contact each other. They were brave enough to speak about what was happening. And in my time, the girls that I was in contact with, or at that moment, they were involved in triangulation. So there was too much emotions for them to have clarity into what was happening, right? So immediately he persuaded them to say, she's crazy, don't listen to her. So there was no space for us to come together and actually be like, hey, he's doing this to you, he's doing this to me. Okay, you did that, he did this, you know? So I think God basically blessed, you know, these women with courage, and they reached out to me, you know, in my healed state. I'm so far away from this relationship right now. I'm in a new relationship, very happy, healthy mind man, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing because he's so healthy in his mind. And anyway, these girls were very brave to contact each other, and they basically just pieced together this really evil web of patterns, lies, grandiosity, you know, hurt, emotional pain. And a lot of people came back to me to just be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you went through that. Like, this person is actually evil.
Yeah. No, I mean, you touched upon the fact that you're healed, and I think also Jamila is a very healed person, clearly, which is why she's been. I think when you're healed, you're also open to what I would call a healthy relationship. I
Exactly.
think that's when it flows in. So I don't know if Jam, I don't know if you want to speak upon your healing process, and then we can maybe all speak upon it. I just want to say for myself, I think earlier I might have come across like a, queen of self-love and whatnot. I definitely am not, but I'm on a journey of self-love, which is, I
We
think,
all
what She Blooms is about. It's
Yeah, it's still it's a journey.
journey.
a journey. It's
Yeah.
a journey. I'm not at 100%, but I'm somewhere, and that's all that you can do. It's just continual
Absolutely.
growth. So yeah, I don't
I
know.
think
That's
to be
amazing.
to be honest with you, I started asking myself the hard questions. I'm like, what exactly am I looking for? I kept asking myself that, and God just kept throwing these people at me in that journey. And it was a test for me. I feel like I was like, is this what I'm going to accept? Like, people who are married were trying to talk to me, people who were like just not all the way there in terms of what I was looking for, were sort of like trying to approach me on my journey. And the test for me was rejecting all of them. I was rejecting everything. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go down this path with you. I'm on a different path. Like, I'm looking for this. And I was telling them straight up, I'm like, I know you can't give me this. And I was saying this from the get-go, because I'm like, I know if I just continue talking to you and giving you my energy, knowing you can't give me what I want and what I'm looking for, I'm just in the end, it's just going to end up badly for me. So I chose to put my energy into people who were on the same path as me. I might not have met him yet, or the right people yet, but that's what I was doing. I made the conscious decision and the effort to just be alone, to be okay with that, to just let myself feel what I needed to feel. Like, it was really hard, to be honest with you. It was months and months of this going on. But like, I would allow myself to cry. I would allow myself to always talk about how I felt. And even if it was the same sort of feeling that I was going through, because I made sure to journal. Like, I always journal. So I journal, I manifest, I make sure to meditate. I always try to exercise. And then when I'm doing that, I make sure to also do the work. I make sure to not allow these negative people into my life. I make sure, like, yeah, the person didn't have everything that I was looking for. So I made sure, I'm like, you know what? We don't even need to, like, for me, I was like, we don't even need to be friends, right? Because I'm like, at this point, I was focused. I was like, listen, I know you're not for me. let's leave it at that. It might seem harsh, but I was even doing that to people who were sort of like just there for absolutely no reason. I'm like, why am I even keeping you on, like, for example, in my contact list? Why are you on my social? Why? I don't need you here. Like, you know what? You're just not there. And I know exactly what you want from me. You want to talk to me when you feel like you need to talk to me. That's it. Like, you're not being consistent. You're not doing what the person should be doing. This, there was no give and take here. So I'm just like, forget about it. So when I was going through that, I was actually so proud of myself. Like, I was just like, you know what, this isn't the right person, but I'm so proud of myself for doing this. And once I eliminated all of those people from my life and I just focused on myself every day, and I focused on what made me feel good. I did things to make myself feel good about me constantly. Like that, it's like a never ending journey, but you really need to do what makes you feel good and surround yourself with positive people and people who genuinely care for you. So whether that, it doesn't have to be like a person that you're in a relationship with, it could be your friends. Reach out to those people, make sure you're in contact with those people, and it can be your family. If you have family that unconditionally loves you, surround yourself with that, because that's what you need. And focus on your work, focus on yourself. So that's pretty much what I did. And I was just out here swatting people from my life. And honestly, it made me happy. I was alone, but I was happy. And yeah, so that's what pretty much did it for me,
I think that's something that I applaud Jamila for, just because I know, because we're friends, is that Jamila allows herself to feel. So
Yeah.
I think that when you're healing, I think everybody just wants to rush to the, oh, I'm healed, I have this together, I'm unbothered, like F him or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you want to jump to that immediately. But I think Jam is one of the people who has taught me to like really just, okay, like sit down, like think, like, how do you feel about this situation? What are your feelings? And then just go through, like, digest it, right? So then once
Yeah.
once you're able to digest it, then you can move
Yeah.
on. I feel like a lot of
And
people are fake healed.
I found that also about myself is that I have a hard time letting things go. So when I was looking back at my journaling, I was like, wow, I'm really not letting this go. And that's what I need to work on. Like, so that's why I'm happy I started journaling. It's because I found every night when I was journaling, I'm like, I'm talking about the same thing. I'm like, Jamila, let it go. It doesn't serve you and it makes you upset. So that's like one tip I will give people is really try and journal and figure out what your patterns are, like what you're constantly talking about and why you're not letting it go. Because sometimes I did want to feel sad. I was like, I wanted to have that like sort of self-pity moment where I'm like, oh, woe is me. I was like, yes, today I'm sad. Okay, let me be more sad. And then I was like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was like,
You know, when
then
you
now
put
you're
on
just,
the cry playlist, you're like, this is the music that
yes,
gets you into crying.
exactly. But then you know what? I realized I also had to go through that too. So it's okay. It's okay. And then once you're like, you know what, I'm really tired of this. Let me just choose to be positive and choose to let this go. But I'm glad I caught on to that because I'm like, that's one thing that held me back was noticing that like I could not let things go. So yeah.
Yeah, could I say, the funny thing is for me, funny enough, I used to typically be the whole, I'm done, I move on, I'm tough, I don't acknowledge feelings. So I would literally be like, I don't do feelings, bruv. I would maybe talk to my girlfriends about it, but normally I wouldn't. And I would just move to the next one, to the next thing, to the next thing. And maybe it's also because I'm a mom. I would be able to be so, I would busy myself with my daughter. And for me, I would know when I'm in a bad state with the state of like my desk and my room and my house, right? But then I would tidy that day, but 2 days later, I'm back there again. But then I would I would do busy work. So this was the first time in acknowledging my feelings that I had actually done the whole, that's when I did the crying thing and trying to talk to the person, trying to get clarity, because I had never been that vulnerable. Because I'm normally, my trauma response is I shut down and I build a wall. That's my trauma response. Anything, and you don't get emotions from me. But then I also realized for me, I had to open myself up to these emotions, but still not necessarily open myself to him. It was to me, because the answers are within me. So I had to cry. I had to sit down and have those feelings. I had to journal. I had to write it down. I have to talk to me. I didn't have to talk to him about it, but it was good to cry about it and was good to bring it out, but just not to that person. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm learning now, that, okay, you've got to acknowledge these feelings. And it was so funny because I was talking to this other group of women just yesterday, and we were talking in a room about single parenthood. And they said to me, you know what's really hard? Two of the four women were single moms, and they said, you know what's really hard is when you become a single mom and you're single, married women look at you like you might just steal their husbands, so they won't invite you around. And it's true. Like, I've had a lot of married friends who've isolated me and they've changed completely because I'm single. And there's so much rejection around that. And then I realized, and when they said, but you know what, the fact that you left your relationship wasn't working for you and you had that power to leave, and you're still on this journey, good for you, we've been through it and it's okay. Do you know, I cried. And I was like, I didn't even know why I was crying. And then that to me was like, oh, so this is an area I had to heal. This is an area that was hurting for me, because, and this is why I was now having an issue with what this other guy did, because it was rejection. And I felt like I'm being rejected by my married friends. I'm being rejected by my community because I am a divorcee while I left, the father of my child. And now I'm being rejected by this guy. So that's when I realized that I have to heal around all of that rejection. And I have to understand in my heart that rejection is redirection, and it has nothing to do with my self-worth.
Yeah.
It has all to do with, that is not the thing for you. It's got nothing to do with you are less than. So yeah, it's a journey, man. Yo.
I'm so proud of you, though. I'm so proud of you, because, being a mom and also having to deal, and being a single mom as well, is incredibly hard. I'm not a mom, but I mean, dealing with life and having a kid, I'm really proud of you. That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Kasha, for sure. I can't imagine. I can't imagine if I had to
Yeah.
live through my own life while trying to, protect another kid.
Right?
Like, I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Exactly.
lie, that was the hardest. Like, the day I was then ghosted after the mosting,
Mm-hmm.
the day I was ghosted after mosting, that very
Yeah.
day, I remember my daughter coming to me and wanting to play and wanting cuddles and wanting kisses and just being her normal self. So not because, she was seeing that I was down, but she just wanted to play. And I remember saying, oh man, okay, I need to show up for her. And having, but I'm now grateful, because instead of me disappearing and not engaging with my feelings, I then just engaged with different feelings and was grateful for having her, and was grateful for being able to play with her and things like that. And that night, for like 3 nights after my mosting incident, I would go in her room when she's asleep and I would pray in her room, and I would pray looking at her, because I found that I was in this dark place where even my prayers were just like nonsense. It was like, God, you messed me up, bruh. I'm a good person. How could you let this happen? That was my prayer. Seriously, like, I was like, yo. But then with my daughter, when I prayed, I don't know what it did, and she was sleeping, and I would just look at her and I'd be like, thank you. And I was so grateful for being mustered and ghosted so quickly, because this could have gone on for 10 years, for 15 years. And where would I have been?
Absolutely.
So I was like, look at God coming through, removing the devil quickly with
Right?
the
I think that's
quickness.
the way of looking at it. Like, God has removed evil from your life, or,
Absolutely.
yeah, I
With
think
the
that's the way to look.
quickness. And then so now even my prayer changed, instead of saying, God, why did you allow this to happen? It was like, hey, God, thank you for delivering lessons quickly. Because you could have, in the Bible, some lessons took 40 years, fam. Me, you delivered in 2 months, bruh. Okay. Come
I
on,
love
that's
it.
good delivery. Yeah.
I
So,
love it. I
yeah,
love it.
thank you.
Well done. Well
I
done.
love it. Do you guys have so just before we maybe get to the end, do you have any what can I call them? Not tips, signs. Let's say some signs of mosting that our sisters should be looking out for on their dating journeys, you know? What do you think is like a telltale sign? For me, I think one of them that I can say is, I think Natasha touched upon it, was like too much too fast. I think when they come at you and it's too much too fast, if you can just, pump the brakes, so to speak, just like slow everything down. I think for me that would be like kind of my advice and kind of a telltale sign that somebody is not, fully there for the right reasons. I don't know if you guys have any others.
I have just a few. Grandiose behavior, which is basically, having this huge self-importance, and you will find that these people are ringleaders. Okay, so I would say the best advice that I can give to young women and older women, because it happens to everyone, and you are not exempt from this world. And even if you're a Christian or highly spiritual, you're not exempt, because we are all people that are living in a treacherous world. Satan is around everywhere, and the best thing we can do is to open our eyes within our hearts, right? Not looking outward, but looking inward at ourselves. And the more we know more about ourselves, the more equipped and armed we are. So when you meet people that are very grandiose and love fame and glory, you can kind of pick up when someone like when someone name drops, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very clear sign that that person is managing your perception over them, right? So you want to pick up really quickly when someone's trying to manage their perception or their perception of you, right? So that's in psychology, it's very deceitful, okay? Because your perception over me, I shouldn't manage it, okay? I shouldn't tell you these things so that I can appear to be, this big and glorified person. Yeah. The next thing I would say is definitely echo what Natasha has said, and I would call that too good to be true. And there is such a thing, guys, when it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Okay? You need to step back within yourself, and you need to create boundaries around yourself, because people are also unsure. Like, people ramble off, they say things that they don't mean, and if we know that everyone's dealing with some level of trauma, no one is really fully healed and fully ascended and one with God, unless you're the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa or whatever. And even I think they're still ascending as well. So when you meet these people, you just got to know that not everyone is out for your own safety. Not everyone is out there for your own well-being, and you have to take on that accountability for yourself. And I think in my own healing, that was one thing I had to do. I had to take accountability for myself, because I allowed a lot, okay? So the minute you step into that place of accountability, like Jamila had stated, you become the pilot of your life. You're driving now, and you're not allowing someone else to drive for you. You are saying, I'm the one that knows me most, and God, done. That's it. And this is good for me. Also, another thing, sexually, just really quickly, sexually, your body will tell you when the person is not for you. You'll get an infection, you'll have anxiety around the person, you won't sleep properly, you will stop eating patterns, things will change. So journaling, I would say, Jamila, has been absolutely, I think that is one of the best healing techniques that I would give to anyone, because you start seeing patterns and you start noticing that things are changing.
Got
And
one of those things, including constipation. Why didn't I meet you beforehand?
I'm dead.
I couldn't even go to the bathroom. Almost. Anyway, go on.
My friend, let me tell you, your body, like me with this guy, and this is quite personal, but my vagina literally would close up. And he would think that, I was extremely tight, and, and for me, I knew, and I have also strong intuition. So the more I didn't listen to my intuition, the more the signs came in my body. Anxiety, unsettling feelings, always looking out, like, am I in danger? Where is that coming from? Your body, our bodies are nature. We have energy atoms. We relate to each other. I can feel you guys' energy at the moment, and right now when I'm feeling your energy, something's happening in you as well. Either you're feeling excited, you're feeling settled, you're feeling at peace, or there's something telling you that there's something off about me, right? Which you need to listen to, right? So your body will always tell you, because it's nature, your body's always going to give you a sign. Yeah.
And I also want to say to people, don't be afraid to ask those hard questions to others as well. Don't be afraid. The right person is not going to run away from that, and they're not going to make you feel bad at all. They will answer those questions easily. So when you're in these situations, ask those hard questions, like, why are we moving so quickly? Why do you feel this way? Like, ask those questions. Don't ever, because I feel like I know a lot of women who are even scared to say what they want in relationships. Don't be afraid. If that person leaves you, okay, let them leave you. They were never meant for you in the first place. Don't be afraid to say how you feel. Always say how you feel. If that person can't handle it, then peace out. But I mean, in this case, these ones are saying everything right, but keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to ask those hard questions. Say what's on your mind. Don't hold back. And, it's your life. You're in control. So say what you feel like. If you feel like something fishy is going on, you say it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I mean, on that note, I guess they do come and they do say everything right, but I think still ask the questions, right?
Yes,
Oh, I
yes.
want to meet my mother. Okay, why do you want me to meet your mother? What do you want to achieve with this meeting? What is this about?
Yeah. Or just say, oh, I feel like this is going a little too fast for me. I feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's okay to say you feel uncomfortable with something. And if they make you feel bad about it, then there's something up there. Yeah. So I always just say what is on your mind, say how you feel, ask for what you want. And yeah, if that person can give you what you want,
Deuces.
exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, yeah, carry on. Sorry, Chantal.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think we've come to the end of the episode. But if I wanted to ask you guys, you ladies, if you have any last words, any last words on anything, and then we can wrap up.
I think my last words were what I had said before. I was like, that's what I want women to take away from this: is say what's on your mind. Don't be afraid. Don't retreat. Be who you are wholeheartedly, and always ask for what you want. It's your life. You're the pilot,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what I want to let people know, is like, do not be afraid. And if that person is going to leave you, if that person is going to make you feel bad about what you're asking them, and then they're not for you. So always remember that, and try and at least take that away. Like, do not be afraid. Remember, there's so many people on this earth. If that person feels that way, next, there's somebody coming. There's always somebody else.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say that, the more we love ourselves, the more we are less likely to betray ourselves. And I think just really being authentic with yourself and knowing who you are, what you're about, what experiences you are open to, where you're going in life, what are your goals, and understanding that anything out of alignment in that is you betraying yourself. So yes. I concur with everything Jamila has said, and absolutely, I agree. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say, first of all, I was taking a bunch of notes, a bunch of notes. So I'm grateful for all of you. I actually feel like I might have low-key used this podcast and conned all of you to just give me a therapy sisterhood circle moment. And I'm just like, thank you, Lord. But you see how the universe delivers always and on time.
Right.
So I am just grateful. I have had a wonderful time and journey, especially this week, of so much affirmation that I'm moving in the right place, in the right way. And I am so grateful. This is an amazing Mother's Day gift for me. So I can't thank you guys enough, because you all have contributed to making me a better mother. And that makes the world implicitly better, because Google is a product of the world. I am a person who navigates this world. So the fact that you've contributed to my health and well-being makes it better for everybody. So for all the sisters who are listening, for all the brothers who are listening, who are empaths, who feel so deeply, just know that your feelings are valid and they are right. They are just misdirected sometimes, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't stop feeling them. And most importantly, do not move from a place of fear. Whether that's fear of being alone, fear of being rejected, fear of being ridiculed. Never move from fear. You are a person full of love, and always only move from there. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really, really, really want to thank you ladies for joining me today to delve into this topic. And I really want to thank Natasha in particular for bringing this topic to my attention. So thank you, Natasha, and also a special thank you to me and Sharice's mutual friend, because
Yes.
we just met last
Yes.
week.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Jam, for showing us that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, child.
Ooh, yes. And thank you for showing us. And also thank you, Cherise, for walking us through
Yes.
that journey, and also
Yes.
showing it too. That's the beauty about this. I feel like we're all at different stages, huh? So I was like, I'm still
Yeah.
fresh. But this is nice to see that, oh no, it's okay. Keep on the path. It gets better.
It gets
Okay.
So
better,
thank
Yeah.
you.
Even
Thank
Sharice has a partner.
yeah.
Baloo, you've also like I feel like this self-love journey of yours is like, I mean, you're doing so well. So,
You.
you know,
Thank
yes. Give
you.
yourself a pat on the back because you've been doing
Woo!
so well.
I
I
will.
I always talk to you, you know what I mean? And you're always you're just like, listen, I ain't got the time for this. Okay. And like you make
I
sure you're
know.
not putting yourself in these situations.
I
You're
feel like
like, it's not worth my time.
that's my general attitude.
Yeah.
I
No, but
really
it's
do
true.
think.
And you're able to read, you're able to read situations. So, give yourself a pat on the back for that because you're on your way.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I just want to
exactly.
say thank you as well. Just really thank you. The universe always works in good people's favor. You will really be able to see that it's all divinely guided, all of it. Even
Yeah,
me sitting here,
Yeah.
it's
agree.
divinely
I
guided.
agree
You
completely.
know.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm super grateful. I've got lots of love for you, ladies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you guys.
everyone for tuning in. And you can drop your views and always comment in the section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get notified for any new episodes that are uploaded. See you next time.